Hello, welcome back to Elise Reads and Speaks. Today I am bringing you my TBR for the next round of the Trope-ical Readathon. I did the first Trope-ical Readathon in August and I loved it. I thought it was so clever. They decided to do a second round in March. So I think from now on it'll be like March and August. Don't quote me on that. I think that's the plan, but I'm not entirely sure. Okay, so they have a prompt for each trope, and if you don't have a book that fits that specific trope, there's also an alternative prompt, which it makes sense, but let's go through. So the first trope that they have is absent or dead parents, or you could choose the additional prompt, which is a book with multiple authors. For this prompt, I'm choosing These Feathered Flames by Alexandra Overy, because the whole premise is that their mom dies. These pair of twins, they have this mom, she's the queen dies, and then one of them has to take over the kingdom and one of them is in charge of the magic. So I think the whole premise is around the dead mom. All right, the second prompt is war setting, or a book that you could use as a weapon, i.e. over 500 pages. I chose to go for the war setting. I am going to read We Are Not Free by Tracy Chee. This one, the war setting, is around World War II when Japanese Americans were kind of rounded up and put into concentration camps. And I believe it follows a group of kids that are trying to either make their way through that or reacting to their families being put in these camps. I'm not sure exactly, but I know that the war setting is World War II. The third prompt is small town or a book with a one-word title. I chose to go for the one-word title. I am going with Malice by Heather Walter. This is an e-arc that I have from NetGalley. It's like a warped retelling of Sleeping Beauty. It sounds a little creepy and I'm totally into that. The fourth prompt is coming of age or a book that shaped who you are. So when people use the term coming of age, I never know what to think. I'm like, whose age? Your age? My age? The age of the world? I never really understand it. So I am taking this one as up to interpretation, okay? Something that seems like coming your age to me. So I'm going with One to Watch by Kate Stamen London. Why do I think this is coming of age? Because finally there's like a protagonist with a bigger body type, and also I hear that it's like The Bachelor, okay? The world of The Bachelor, which I mean has a profound impact on my life because I watch it every Monday at 8 o'clock, right? So I feel like this is coming of age for me. The next prompt is dystopia, or you could choose a book someone else has chosen for you. Well, I didn't choose that one because I chose my own book. I went for dystopia. I'm going for the next book in the Jewel, which is The White Rose by Amy Ewing. If you remember, I read The Jewel as a reread for the Reindeer Readathon back in December, and I loved it just as much as I did the first time around. I'm going to reread The White Rose. I don't remember what happens in this book since it's been several years, but I'm pretty stoked to get to it. It's this dystopian world where the people that have the most money in the center can't have their own babies, so they like get girls from the poorer sections of the place as surrogates. I know it sounds really bizarre, okay? It's a dystopia, okay? But it's good. The sixth prompt is a blast from the past, or you could choose a book published before 2000. I'm going with Blast from the Past, all right? I have chosen The Girls Are All So Nice Here by Lori Elizabeth Flynn. This is another e-arc that I have from NetGalley, and it centers around these two girls that go back to their college reunion, except when they get there, somebody starts circling them and sending them some like mean messages because they want revenge for what these two girls apparently did 10 years ago. Sounds good to me. The seventh prompt is mixed media or an audiobook. I'm choosing the audiobook. I know I'm going to raise a physical book, but I'm listening to the audiobook, which I started today on March 1st, of The Two Lives of Lydia Bird by Josie Silver. So far, so good. I'm not that far into it, but I'm enjoying it. This story focuses around this woman that is going through some grief because she has just lost the love of her life that she planned on marrying next year. And I believe it's like a difference of when she's awake and when she's asleep. Like when she's asleep, she has him back. When she's awake, she's living a life without him. And the lines start blurring of what's real and what's not. It's very interesting so far. The eighth prompt is artificial intelligence, or you can read an ebook. I'm choosing the ebook. I'm going for another e-arc that I have from NetGalley. This is called The Last Secret You'll Ever Keep by Lori Faria-Stollarz. And I have to say, I'm very, very happy that I was researching what e-arcs I was gonna read for this, because I had no idea that yet again, I got the second book in a series from NetGalley. Man, sometimes like the blurb that they put there does not say anything. And it's when I go to Goodreads and see that it's number 2 that I'm like, wait, what? Okay, so I am going to listen to the audiobook of the first one, which is Jane Anonymous, and then I'm going to go on to The Last Secret You'll Ever Keep. But both stories are kind of about the same thing, that these girls were taken from their homes. They were put in this place in captivity. They were starving. I think there was some sort of abuse. In this particular book, The Last Secret That You'll Ever Keep, she gets out of this place and then nobody believes her. Okay, everybody thinks that she's lying about this story, and she finally finds solace in this group of people that have gone through the same thing. Sounds very, very interesting. It sounds like it might have some trigger warnings, so I will let you know when I get there. The 9th prompt is boarding school, or you could do a buddy read. I'm choosing the boarding school. Boarding school is one of my favorite tropes. I am going for Hemlock by Rue Volley. This is an e-arc that I got even though it was released in August of 2020. In my defense, I got the e-arc on July 31st of 2020, and I was just like, I'm not gonna read this in a day because it was released on August 1st. It's like, no. So I put it off, but I'm gonna read it now. Okay, it's magical, it's a boarding school, some women have powers and they need to be taught how to use them. Sounds fantastic. The 10th trope is enemies to lovers, or you could choose a book that you previously DNF'd. Isn't that clever? Like, you hated this book before and then you could choose to love it. I'm not going for that because I don't want to read something that I DNF'd. I'm going for enemies to lovers. I'm going for another e-arc. This one is The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. So from what I understand from this blurb, there is this site, like a matching site, you know, if you want to call it Tinder or Bumble or whatever, okay? But it's a matching site. It's this site that everybody uses, everybody raves about. This main girl in it finally tries it. She gets matched with the creator of the app, who she has hated before. Now, clearly, we know what's gonna happen. It's a romance. They're gonna fall in love, all right? It's gonna be enemies to lovers. It's gonna be wonderful, and it's Christina Lauren, so I'm super pumped. The 11th prompt is multiple points of view, or you could choose a book with multiple people of color. I think I'm going for both because, okay, the book that I chose is Wild Women and the Blues by Denny S. Bryce. And from the blurb, it sounds like there's multiple points of view because there's dual timelines. So I think one is told from one perspective, one is told from another. However, if I'm wrong, there's still gonna be multiple people of color in it because I know that the main person that this is following was a Black woman in Chicago in 1925. And then the other timeline is 2015. And I think he wants to look into the life of this filmmaker and uses this actress from 1925 as a way to find out a story about this filmmaker. Okay, so it's gonna have multiple people of color. I don't know if it's gonna have multiple points of view, but it's gonna fit one of those prompts. The 12th prompt is New Kid in Town, or you could choose a genre you don't usually read. I'm going for New Kid in Town. I am going for another e-arc that I have, Downworld by Rebecca Phelps. So this one is about this high school that apparently there's a hallway in this high school that has a doorway. This doorway can lead to different timelines or like parallel dimensions or something like that. Sounds right up my alley, right? I know. So this new kid in town comes to this school and she wants to use this doorway when she finds out about it to find out what actually happened to her brother that had just passed away. She doesn't believe that he passed of natural causes or something like that. Sounds great. And the 13th prompt, which is the last of the general prompts, is my favorite of all time, retelling. I swear, I read several retellings a month. I love it. And for this one, I had written down like 4, and I was like, let me narrow it down. Let me see what I need to get through. So I'm going for The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins. This is like a Southern retelling of Jane Eyre. I think that sounds great. I think it sounds great. The wife upstairs being Rochester's wife, like, okay, I usually go for a fairy tale retelling. However, I really love Jane Eyre and I have the audiobook from my library ready to go. So I felt like this was the one that I needed to pluck up ahead of the rest. Then there's 3 more challenges based on which team you're on. I am again going to be on team science fiction fantasy. If you could tell from the books that I chose for my regular prompts, I like a lot of science fiction and fantasy. So there's 2 team prompts for each team. All teams have 2 different prompts. So like my team isn't gonna have the same 2 prompts as team romance or team poetry or something like that, okay? So the first prompt for team science fiction and fantasy is secret world, the secret world trope. So I am going with Grim Lovelies. This sounds like it has a secret world because these lovelies that are here, they're like beasties in this world. People in the regular human world don't know that they exist, even though they know that humans exist or something like that. I don't know. It sounded like a secret world to me that takes place in somebody's backyard or something. I don't know, but I think it's gonna hit the trope. Okay, the second trope, let me just explain something. The second trope is one that I took up to interpretation. It is the first contact trope. Now listen, I'm just not into aliens. I'm not. When I hear first contact, I think aliens and I think, oh no, I don't want to do that. I think the only like alien books that I've read that I liked were The Host by Stephanie Meyer. Don't judge me, don't even try it. And Alienated, I think that's the name of it, by Melissa Landers. And I didn't read the subsequent books because I couldn't get my hands on them, but I would consider reading those again. Okay, whatever, I'm off on a tangent. Okay, so this is the one that I took as an interpretation. I have decided to go with Mind Games by Shanna Silver. This is my book club's pick for the month of March, so I needed to fit it in somewhere. Now here's the premise, and here's why I'm putting it under first contact, okay? The main girl in this, she has some of her memories taken away, and the boy that she's had a crush on for forever, he has his memories taken away too. So when they see each other again, it's like a first contact. You get me? You got me? And then I don't have to read about aliens. Okay. I don't care if you disagree with me. You know what? This is just for fun, and I want to read books that I want to read if it's going to be for fun. The last prompt is the group book. So you have 2 choices. You can choose a newer book specifically for your team or an older book specifically for your team. So the 2 choices that we have here are This Golden Flame by Emily Victoria or Rosewater by Tade Thompson. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I looked at the blurbs for both and I wasn't really thrilled about either. They just don't seem like my kind of thing. So I'm gonna put this towards the end of the month. And I think if I get to that point that I get through all these prompts and I do have time to read one of these group books, I think I liked the blurb for Rosewater a little bit more than This Golden Flame. I don't know. If you have been watching my channel for any amount of time and you have read either or both of these books and you have a recommendation specifically for me, which one you think I will like more, please let me know because I wasn't really thrilled with either. All right, so that is what I plan on reading in March. And you know me, I'm super competitive, so I really hope Team Science Fiction Fantasy wins. All right, thank you for tuning in to Elise Reads and Speaks. I will catch you next time, guys. Bye.